The ship shook hard, and Hante fell from his chair. Red lights flashed everywhere. Alarms screamed through the metal walls. He grabbed the edge of his desk and pulled himself up, his heart beating fast. All crew to stations. Captain Yunde's voice came through the speakers. We have contact. Unknown vessel. Repeat, unknown vessel. Hante ran through the narrow hallway. Other crew members rushed past him, their faces full of fear. The ship shook again, and he hit the wall with his shoulder. Pain shot through his arm, but he kept moving. When he reached the bridge, he stopped breathing. Through the large window, he saw it. A ship so big that it blocked the stars. It was dark purple, shaped like a giant flower with sharp petals. Lights moved across its surface, like living things. In all his years of studying alien life, Hante had never seen anything like this. What is that? Kong Sora whispered. She stood next to him, her pilot uniform wrinkled, her short hair messy from sleep. They had been friends since training, and he had never seen her look so scared. I don't know, Hante said. Captain Yunde stood at the center of the bridge, his hands behind his back. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had led many missions, but his face showed that this was different. They disabled our engines, the captain said quietly. We cannot run. Can we fight? Asked one of the officers. Look at the size of that thing, Sora said. We would be dead in seconds. The communication screen flickered. Everyone went silent. Then a face appeared on the screen, and Hante felt his blood turn cold. The alien was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Its skin was silver blue, smooth like water. Its eyes were large and filled with broken light, like stars seen through cracked glass. It had no hair, but something like a crown of thin, glowing threads grew from its head. Human vessel, the alien spoke. Its voice was soft but filled every corner of the bridge. You have entered Ithran space. You will prepare for boarding. Resistance will result in destruction. The screen went dark. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Captain Yunde turned to face his crew. We have 12 people on this ship, he said. 12 lives I am responsible for. We cannot fight. We cannot run. He took a deep breath. We will cooperate and hope for mercy. Hante stepped forward. Captain, I should go to them. Everyone looked at him. Sora grabbed his arm. Are you crazy? I am the xenobiologist, Hante said. I study alien life. If anyone should make first contact, it should be me. He looked at the captain. Let me speak to them. Maybe I can negotiate for the crew's safety. Captain Yunde studied him for a long moment. You understand you might not come back. I understand. Sora's grip tightened on his arm. Tay, don't do this. He turned to her and smiled, though his hands were shaking. Someone has to. Better me than all of us. The aliens came aboard 20 minutes later. They were tall, taller than any human, with the same silver blue skin and strange eyes. They wore armor that looked like it was grown, not made. They moved without sound, like ghosts. Hante stood alone in the cargo bay, waiting for them. When they pointed their weapons at him, he raised his hands slowly. I am Hante, he said. I offer myself as your representative. Please do not hurt my crew. The aliens looked at each other. One of them spoke into a device on its wrist. Then they grabbed Hante's arms and led him away. The inside of the alien ship was like nothing he had ever imagined. The walls were alive. They breathed. Soft light came from plants that grew everywhere, their leaves glowing blue and green. The floor felt warm under his feet, like skin. They walked for what felt like hours. Through halls that twisted and turned, past windows that showed the endless darkness of space. Finally, they reached a massive door that opened like a mouth. The throne room took his breath away. It was huge, bigger than any building on Earth. The ceiling was so high that clouds formed near the top, soft and glowing. Crystal pillars rose from the floor, singing quietly as air moved through them. And at the far end, on a throne made of living light, sat the queen. She was the most beautiful thing Hante had ever seen. Her skin glowed softly, and her eyes held the light of dying stars. She wore a dress that flowed like water, changing colors as she moved. A crown of light floated above her head. Queen Vila stood as he approached. She was even taller than the guards, and she moved with a grace that made her seem like she was floating. Hante fell to his knees. Not because he was forced to, but because his legs simply gave out. The queen walked toward him slowly. Her footsteps made no sound. When she reached him, she tilted her head and studied him like he was a strange insect. "Human," she said. Her voice was like music, but sad music, the kind that made you want to cry. "You came willingly, to protect my crew," Hante said. "Please, they meant no harm." "We did not know this was your space," the queen did not answer. Instead, she reached out and placed her hand on his chest, right over his heart. Hante gasped. He felt something, a warmth that spread from her touch through his whole body. It was like standing in sunlight after years in darkness. It was like coming home. The queen's eyes went wide. Her hand trembled against his chest. For a moment, her perfect calm cracked, and he saw something underneath. Shock, hope, fear. "Leave us," she whispered to her guards. They hesitated now. Her voice echoed through the throne room, and the guards ran. When they were alone, the queen knelt down in front of Hante. She was so close that he could see the tiny lights moving inside her eyes. She kept her hand on his chest, feeling his heartbeat. "Your heart," she whispered. "It burns." "I don't understand," Hante said. She looked at him, and he saw tears forming in her strange, beautiful eyes. Tears that glowed like liquid stars. "I have searched for 1,000 years," she said. "Across 100 galaxies. I have touched millions of beings, hoping, praying." Her voice broke. "And finally, I have found you." Hante's heart was beating so hard that it hurt. "Found me? What do you mean?" Queen Vela leaned closer. Her breath was warm and smelled like flowers that had never grown on Earth. "You're the one I've been searching for," she said. She released her crew that night. All 11 of them were returned to the horizon unharmed. Their engines were repaired. They were given supplies and directions to leave Etheran space safely. But Hante was not with them. Kong Sora screamed and fought when she heard the news. Captain Yunde had to hold her back from attacking the alien guards. "I will come back for you," she shouted as they dragged her away. "Tay, I will come back." Hante watched from a window as the horizon flew away, growing smaller and smaller until it was just another star in the darkness. Then he was alone in an alien palace, with a queen who held his heart in her hands, and he still did not know why. The room they gave Hante was bigger than his entire apartment back on Earth. The walls were made of something like glass, and through them he could see gardens that stretched for miles. Strange birds flew between trees that glowed in the darkness. A waterfall fell silently in the distance, its water shining like melted silver, but Hante could not enjoy any of it. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the floor, thinking about his crew, about Sora, about home. 3 days passed. Servants brought him food, strange fruits and soft bread that tasted like nothing he had ever eaten. They were kind to him, too kind. They bowed when they entered, called him Honored One, and never looked him in the eyes. It made him feel more like a prisoner than if they had put him in chains. On the 4th day, Queen Vela came to see him. She entered without guards, wearing a simple dress instead of her royal clothes. Without her crown, she looked younger, almost human. Almost. "You have not eaten," she said, looking at the untouched food on his table. "I am not hungry." She sat down across from him, folding her long legs gracefully. "You are angry. You kept me here against my will. You sent my friends away. I do not even know why." Hante looked at her. "Yes, I am angry." The queen was quiet for a moment. Then she stood and walked to the window, looking out at the endless gardens. "Come with me," she said. "I want to show you something." They walked through the palace, down long hallways, and through doors that opened at her touch. Guards watched them pass, but kept their distance. Servants pressed themselves against the walls and bowed finally. They reached a balcony that looked out over a city. Hante had never seen anything so beautiful. Towers of crystal rose toward the sky, connected by bridges that looked like threads of light. Ships flew between buildings, leaving trails of color behind them. Gardens covered every surface, filling the air with the smell of flowers. But something was wrong. It took him a moment to understand what. The city was empty. Oh, there were people. He could see them moving far below, walking on streets and flying in ships. But there should have been millions in a city this size. Instead, there were thousands. Maybe less. "This is the capital of my empire," Queen Vela said. "Once 10 million Aethera lived here. Now there are 40,000. Hante stared at her. What happened? She turned to face him, and in the light of the twin suns, he saw how tired she looked. "How old we are dying?" she said simply. "Not from war. Not from disease. We are dying because we forgot how to live." She led him to another place, a great hall filled with statues. Each statue showed an Aethera, beautiful and proud, frozen in stone. "These are the bonded," she explained. "Long ago, my people did not live alone. We formed bonds with each other, deep connections that joined our minds and our hearts. When two Aethera bonded, they could feel each other's emotions, share each other's thoughts. They became more than themselves." She touched one of the statues, her fingers gentle. The bond was everything to us. It was how we loved, how we had children, how we found meaning in our long lives. "What happened to it?" Hante asked. 1,000 years ago, a plague came." Her voice grew heavy. "It did not kill our bodies. It killed something inside us. After the plague, we could no longer bond. We tried so hard. But when we reached for each other, we found only emptiness." She walked between the statues, and Hante followed. "Without the bond, we stopped having children. Without the bond, we stopped caring about life. My people became ghosts, going through the motions of living, but feeling nothing." She stopped and looked at him. "I have ruled for 300 years. In all that time, I have never felt another mind touch mine. I have never felt anything except cold and dark and alone." Hante's anger began to fade. In its place came something else. Pity. Understanding. "You said you were searching for something," he said. "For someone like me? Yes." She stepped closer to him. "After the plague, I sent ships to every corner of the galaxy. I searched for other species whose minds might be compatible with ours. I thought that maybe, if we could not bond with each other, we could bond with someone else. And did you find anyone?" "I found thousands. I touched them all." She shook her head. Their minds were cold, empty, like touching stone. I began to lose hope. She reached out and took his hand. Her skin was cool and smooth, but where they touched, Hante felt that warmth again. That strange, beautiful warmth. "Then I touched you," she whispered, "and I felt fire." Hante's breath caught in his chest. "I do not understand. I am just a human. There is nothing special about me. You are wrong." Her eyes glowed brighter. "Humans are unlike anything else in the galaxy. Other species think with cold logic or animal instinct. But humans feel. You love so deeply that it breaks you. You hate so strongly that it burns you. Your hearts are like stars burning with emotion." She pulled him closer. "Most humans burn like small flames, warm but faint. But you, Hante, you burn like a sun. When I touched you, I felt warmth for the first time in 300 years. I felt hope." Hante did not know what to say. His whole life, he had been ordinary. Average grades, average looks, average everything. The only thing he had ever been good at was caring about things too much. Feeling things too deeply, and now an alien queen was telling him that was his greatest gift. "What do you want from me?" he asked. Queen Vela released his hand and stepped back. For a moment, she looked like a queen again, tall and proud and untouchable. Then she bowed her head. "I want to ask for your help," she said. Not demand ask was the last thing he expected. A queen bowing to him. "My people are dying. In another 100 years, we will be gone. But if you can bond with me, if humans can bond with Ethera, then maybe we have a chance." She looked up at him, and her eyes were wet with glowing tears. "I am not asking you to save us alone. I am asking you to try. To see if it is possible." Hante thought about Earth, about his mother, who was probably crying right now, thinking he was dead. About Sora, who had promised to come back for him. About everything he had left behind. Then he thought about the empty city. About the statues of people who had forgotten how to love. About a queen who had spent 300 years alone. Searching for a light in the darkness, he took a deep breath. "I will try," he said. Queen Vela looked at him like he had just given her the universe. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you." That night, Hante stood on his balcony, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, Sora was planning to rescue him. His crew was reporting back to Earth. The universe was moving on without him. But here, in this dying empire, a queen was placing all her hopes in him. He did not know if he could save anyone. He did not know if he was strong enough or special enough. But he knew he had to try, because some things were worth more than going home. The bonding room was deep inside the palace, hidden behind doors that had not opened in centuries. Queen Vela led Hante through darkness until they reached a chamber filled with soft, blue light. The walls were covered in crystals that hummed quietly, and the air smelled like rain. "This is where my parents bonded," Vela said softly, "and their parents before them. For 10,000 years, Ethera came here to join their souls." She sat down on a cushion in the center of the room and gestured for Hante to sit across from her. He did, his heart beating fast. "How does this work?" he asked. "The bond requires complete openness," she explained. "You must lower all the walls around your heart and mind. You must let me in, and I must let you in. It is not just sharing thoughts. It is sharing everything. Every memory. Every feeling. Every secret you have ever hidden." Hante swallowed hard. "That sounds terrifying." "It is." She smiled sadly. "That is why it requires trust. That is why bonded pairs were always those who loved each other most. But we just met. We do not love each other." "No," she agreed. "But we can start with something smaller. Memories, feelings. We can build toward the full bond slowly." She reached out and took his hands. Her fingers were long and cool, and they trembled slightly. "Show me something," she whispered. "Something happy. Something that made you feel alive." Hante closed his eyes and thought. A memory rose to the surface, clear and bright. He was 12 years old, sitting on his grandmother's floor. She was teaching him to cook, her wrinkled hands guiding his as they shaped dumplings. The kitchen smelled like garlic and sesame oil. His grandmother was laughing at something he said, her eyes crinkling at the corners. He felt the memory flow out of him like water. And suddenly he knew that Vela could see it too. She gasped, and when he opened his eyes, there were tears running down her silver-blue cheeks. "So warm," she whispered. "So much love in such a simple moment." "It was just cooking," Hante said, surprised by her reaction. "No, it was everything." She wiped her tears with shaking hands. "I had forgotten what this felt like. To be loved. To belong somewhere." She closed her eyes and showed him something in return. Hante saw a young Vela. Before she was queen, standing in a garden with an older Ethera woman. The woman was holding her hand, pointing at flowers, teaching her their names. There was such tenderness in the woman's eyes. Then the memory changed. The same garden, years later, Vela standing alone, reaching for the woman's mind and finding nothing. Just cold. Just emptiness. The woman was still alive, but the connection between them was dead. Hante felt Vela's grief like a knife in his chest. Centuries of loneliness pressed down on him, so heavy he could barely breathe. "I am sorry," he gasped when the memory ended. "I am so sorry." "Now you understand," Vela said. They practiced every day after that. Hante showed her his childhood. Running through rain with Sora, both of them screaming with laughter, fighting with his father, and crying alone in his room. His first day at the Space Academy, so nervous he could barely speak. His mother holding him the night before he left for his mission, whispering that she was proud of him. Vela drank in every memory like someone dying of thirst. Each time, she cried. Each time, she thanked him like he had given her gold. In return, she showed him her life. 1,000 years of history unfolded before his eyes. He saw the Ithara Empire at its height, cities burning with life and love. He saw the plague come, silent and cruel, taking everything without killing anyone. He saw Vela's coronation, a young queen inheriting a dying world. He saw her search for a cure, the endless disappointment, the growing despair. And slowly, as they shared more and more, Hante began to feel something strange, a thread, thin and fragile, connecting his heart to hers. The bond was forming. Meanwhile, far from Itheran space, the horizon drifted in the darkness between stars. Kongsora stood at the window of the cargo bay staring at nothing. She had not slept properly since they left Hante behind. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw his face as the alien ship swallowed him. "You need to rest," Captain Yunde said. Walking up beside her, "I need to go back for him. We barely escaped with our lives. Going back would be suicide." Sora turned to face him. Her eyes were red from crying, but her jaw was hard. "He volunteered to save us. He gave himself up so we could live. And we just left him. He made a choice. A brave choice. We must honor it by surviving. Sora laughed bitterly. "Is that what you call this? Running away while our friend is trapped with aliens who want to use him for who knows what?" The captain was quiet for a long moment. Then he sighed. "What do you want to do?" "We need information. We need to learn everything we can about these Ithera. Their weaknesses, their defenses, their politics." She crossed her arms. "Then we go back. Not to fight. To negotiate, or sneak, or whatever it takes. And if we cannot rescue him, then we die trying." Captain Yunde studied her face. He saw the determination there, the fire that would not go out. "Very well," he said quietly. "We will gather intelligence. But we do this carefully. We do this smart." Sora nodded. It was a start. Over the next weeks, the Horizon became a spy ship. They intercepted Itheran communications. They tracked Itheran patrols. They talked to traders from other species, learning everything they could about the dying empire and its lonely queen. And one night, Sora intercepted a message that changed everything. She ran to the captain's quarters and burst in without knocking. "We have a problem," she said. She played the message. It was in an alien language, but the ship's computer had translated it. "The Ithara have found a cure for the Hollow Plague. They have found a species that can restore their bonds. The Mordok Collective is mobilizing. The Scythian Horde is mobilizing. The Pale Court is mobilizing. All forces are to converge on Itheran space." Captain Yunde's face went pale. "They were talking about humans," Sora said. "They are coming for Tay. And once they learn that he is not the only one, they will come for Earth." The captain stood slowly. His hands were shaking. "How much time do we have?" Sora checked her calculations. 3 weeks. Maybe 4. "Then we have 3 weeks to warn the Ithera, rescue Hante, and prepare for war. Can we do it?" The captain looked at her with tired eyes. "I do not know, but we have to try." Back on the Itheran homeworld, Hante sat with Queen Vela in the bonding room. The thread between them had grown stronger. He could feel her now, a warm presence at the edge of his mind. "The bond is almost complete," Vela said. Her voice was soft with wonder. "I did not think it was possible. After so long in the dark, I did not think I could feel this again." Hante smiled at her. Somewhere along the way, he had stopped seeing her as an alien queen. She was just Vela now, a woman who had suffered alone for too long. "What happens when it is complete?" he asked. "We will be connected forever. I will feel what you feel. You will feel what I feel. Distance will not matter. Time will not matter. We will never be alone again." She reached out and touched his face gently. "Thank you," she whispered, "for giving me hope." Hante covered her hand with his own. "Thank you for showing me that I have something worth giving." They sat together in the soft blue light. Two souls learning to reach for each other across the darkness of space, and neither of them knew that the war for humanity had already begun. The warning came at midnight. Hante was pulled from sleep by alarms screaming through the palace. Red light filled his room, and he could feel Vila's fear through the bond, sharp and cold like ice in his chest. He ran through the halls, pushing past panicking servants until he found her in the war room. She stood before a massive screen showing the edge of Itheran space. Her face was pale. 3 fleets had arrived. One was made of black ships covered in spikes, ugly and brutal. Another was silver and sleek, moving like sharks through water. The third was pale white, shaped like bones, like the skeleton of some terrible beast. The Mordock Collective, Vila said, pointing to the black ships. Conquerors. They take what they want and destroy everything else. She pointed to the Silver Fleet. The Scythian horde, slavers. They will not kill humanity. They will chain them. Finally, the White Fleet. The Pale Court. They are old. Older than us. They believe that emotions are a disease, and they want to study humans to find a way to remove that disease from the galaxy. Hante stared at the screen. There were thousands of ships. Maybe tens of thousands. How many ships do you have? He asked. Vila's silence was answer enough. Not enough, she finally said. We were once the greatest empire in the galaxy. Now we can barely defend our own borders. And why are they all here? Why now? Because of you, she turned to face him. Word has spread. The Athara have found a cure. The humans can restore what was lost. Every dying empire in the galaxy wants what you can give. Her eyes were heavy with guilt. I should have hidden you. I should have kept you secret. I am sorry. Hante thought about Earth, about his mother making breakfast, about children playing in parks, about ordinary people living ordinary lives, unaware that aliens were coming to enslave them or study them, or worse. It is not your fault, he said. You were trying to save your people. Now I may have doomed yours. The door burst open, and an Itheran admiral strode in. He was old. His silver-blue skin faded to gray, but his eyes were sharp. My queen, we cannot win this battle. Our fleet is outnumbered 10-1. I recommend surrender. Surrender. Vila's voice cracked like thunder. You would hand the humans to those monsters. I would save Itheran lives, at the cost of our souls. She shook her head. We will not surrender. We will fight. The admiral stared at her like she had gone mad. My queen, our warriors have not truly fought in centuries. They go through the motions, but they feel nothing. They will break at the first real attack. Ante stepped forward. Then make them feel something. Both Vila and the admiral looked at him. What did you say? The admiral asked. Your people forgot how to feel. But feelings are not gone forever. They can be woken up. Hante looked at Vela. You feel things now? Through me. Through our bond. What if we could share that with others? Vila's eyes widened. You mean extend the bond? Not the full bond. Just a touch. Just enough to remind them what they are fighting for. That is impossible, the admiral said. The bonding takes weeks. We have hours. Not a full bond, Hante repeated. Just a spark. A reminder. Vila, you said humans burn like fire? Let me share that fire. Ayla was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. Gather the commanders, she said to the admiral. All of them. Bring them to the Great Hall. The Great Hall filled with Itheran warriors. There were thousands of them, tall and beautiful and completely empty. They stood in perfect rows, their faces showing nothing. No fear, no courage. Nothing at all. Hante stood on a platform with Vela beside him. Through the bond, he could feel her doubt, could feel her fear that this would not work. He took a deep breath and began to speak. I am Hante. I am human. A few weeks ago, I did not know your people existed. Now I stand here asking you to fight for mine. The warriors did not react. They barely seemed to hear him. I know you feel nothing. I know the plague took everything from you. But I have seen your history. I have seen what you once were. You were not always empty. You loved. You laughed. You fought with fire in your hearts. Still nothing. Hante felt despair creeping in. Then he felt Vila's hand on his shoulder, and through the bond, she gave him courage. "Let me show you," he said. He closed his eyes and reached inside himself. He gathered every memory of love and joy and hope. His grandmother's hands, Sora's laughter, his mother's tears, the beauty of a sunset over Busan, the feeling of being alive, truly alive, with people who loved him. Then he pushed it outward. He did not know if it would work. He was not Ithran. He did not understand how their bonds worked. But he had felt Vila's mind touch his, and he tried to do the same thing. The effect was like dropping fire into a frozen lake. The warriors gasped. Some fell to their knees. Others grabbed their chests like their hearts were burning. "Do you feel that?" Hante shouted. "That warmth? That light? That is what the humans have. That is what those fleets want to take. Not for themselves. For their own purposes. They will chain humans. They will cut them open. They will destroy them." He pointed at the window, where the enemy fleets could be seen approaching like storm clouds. "If you let them win today, humanity dies. And so does your last chance. Your last hope? The fire goes out, and the cold lasts forever."
Oh.
The warriors were crying. For the first time in 1,000 years, tears ran down their silver-blue faces. "I am not asking you to fight for me," Hante said. "I am asking you to fight for everything you lost. Fight to feel again. Fight to love again. Fight to be alive." He raised his fist. "Who will stand with me?" Silence. Then one warrior stepped forward and raised her fist. "I will." Another joined her. Then another. Then 100. 1,000. The great hall shook with their roar. The battle began an hour later. Ithran ships flew to meet the enemy. And for the first time in centuries, they flew with purpose. With fire, with something to lose, Hante watched from the palace as weapons lit up the sky. Ships exploded like flowers. The darkness burned with the light of war. Then, through the chaos, he saw something impossible. A small human ship flying straight into the battle. The horizon. "Sora," he whispered. Kung Sora's voice crackled through the communication system. "Attention, Ithran fleet. This is the human vessel Horizon. We are here to help. Tell us where you need us." Captain Yunde's voice followed. "Our weapons are weak, but our pilot is the best in the galaxy. Use us however you can." Ithran Admiral looked at Vela. She looked at Hante. "They came back for you," she said softly. "They are human," Hante replied. "We do not leave our friends behind." The battle raged for hours. The Ithran fleet was still outnumbered, but they fought like demons. Every ship that fell was mourned. Every victory was celebrated. They were alive again. The horizon danced through the battle, too small and fast to hit, drawing enemy fire away from damaged Ithran ships. Sora flew, like her ship was part of her body, and slowly, impossibly, the enemy began to fall back. The Mordok Collective broke first, their brutal ships retreating into the dark. The Scythian horde followed, their silver fleet scattered and broken. The Pale Court was last, their white ships vanishing like ghosts. When it was over, the Ithran fleet had lost half its ships. But they had won. Hante stood on the balcony watching the survivors return home. Vela stood beside him, her hand in his. "They will come back," she said quietly. "This was only the first battle. I know. And when they return, they will not just come for the Ithera. They will go to Earth." Hante nodded. He had known this moment would come. The moment when he had to choose between two worlds. But maybe he did not have to choose. "Then we will be ready," he said. Together Vela looked at him with wonder in her eyes. Together she agreed. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the enemy empires licked their wounds and planned their revenge. The days after the battle were filled with grief and hope. Mixed together like rain and sunlight, Hante walked through the hospitals, where wounded Ithran warriors were being treated. He held their hands and shared warmth with them, little sparks of emotion that eased their pain. They looked at him with eyes full of wonder, calling him the fire-bearer, the one who woke them from their long sleep. He did not feel like a hero. He felt tired and scared and uncertain, but he kept walking. Kept giving. Queen Vela found him sitting alone in the gardens, watching the twin suns set behind the crystal towers. "You are exhausted," she said, sitting beside him. "You have given so much of yourself. There is so much more to give." He rubbed his eyes. "So many people who are still cold, still empty. You cannot heal everyone alone." She took his hand. "That is not what I asked you for."
I know.
"But now that I have started, how can I stop?" She was quiet for a moment, her thumb tracing circles on his palm. "There is something I must tell you," she said. "A message came from Earth. Your government has responded to our communication." Hante's heart jumped. "What did they say?" "They are afraid. They have seen the battle recordings. They know that other empires want humanity. They are asking for protection." She paused. "And they are asking for you." He had known this moment would come. He had dreamed about it every night since the battle. Home, his mother, his friends, his entire world. "What should I do?" he asked. "That is not for me to decide." Vela's voice was careful, controlled, but he could feel her pain through the bond. The fear that he would leave, the desperate hope that he would stay. "I love you," he said. The words hung in the air between them. They had never said it before. They had felt it through the bond, shown it in memories and touches, but never spoken it out loud. Vela's eyes filled with glowing tears. "I love you too. More than I knew was possible. More than I thought I could ever feel again. Then come with me." She stared at him. "What?" "Come to Earth. Not as a conqueror. Not as a stranger. As my partner." He turned to face her fully. "The Ethera and humanity need each other. Your people can protect Earth from the empires that want to use us. And humans can help heal your people. Restore what you lost." "You speak of an alliance. I speak of a future. A real future where our peoples stand together." Vela shook her head slowly. "I have ruled alone for 300 years. I have never shared my power with anyone. My people would not accept a human as my equal, and help them accept it." Hante squeezed her hand. "You woke them up. You showed them they could feel again. Now show them they can change." She was quiet for a long time. Through the bond, he felt her fear, her doubt, her hope all tangled together. "You truly believe this is possible?" she asked. "I believed that a month ago. I was just a scientist who studied alien plants. Now I am bonded to a queen, and I helped win a space battle. Anything is possible." For the first time since the battle, Vela laughed. It was a soft sound, surprised and beautiful, and it made Hante's heart ache. "Very well," she said. "I will come to Earth." The horizon led the way, with an Ithran escort fleet following behind. Hante stood on the bridge of Vela's royal ship, watching as the small blue planet grew larger in the view screen. He had been gone for less than 3 months, but it felt like years. So stood beside him, her arms crossed over her chest. "Nervous?" she asked, terrified. "Good. That means you are thinking clearly." She glanced at Vela, who stood at the other end of the bridge, speaking with her advisors. "She really loves you, doesn't she?" "Yes. And you love her?" "Yes." Sora was quiet for a moment. Then she punched his arm hard. "What was that for?" "For making me worry," she smiled. And it was the first real smile he had seen from her since this all began. "I am glad you are okay, and I am glad you found someone. Even if she is an alien queen from another galaxy. Technically, she is from this galaxy." "Shut up." They landed in Korea. On a field outside Besen, thousands of people had gathered to watch, held back by barriers and soldiers. News drones flew overhead, broadcasting the arrival to the entire world. The air was thick with tension and fear and curiosity. Hante stepped off the ship first. The crowd went silent. Then his mother pushed through the barriers. She was older than he remembered, grayer, smaller, but her eyes were the same. She ran to him and threw her arms around him, crying so hard she could barely breathe. "My boy," she sobbed. "My beautiful boy. You came home." "I am sorry, mother. I am sorry it took so long. You are here now. That is all that matters." Behind him, Vila descended from the ship. The crowd gasped. She was wearing her full royal clothes, her crown of light floating above her head, her dress flowing like liquid stars. She looked like something from a dream. She stopped beside Hante and bowed her head to his mother. "I am Vela, Queen of the Ethera," she said. "Your son saved my people. I have come to thank you for raising such a man." Hante's mother stared at the alien queen with wide eyes. Then, to everyone's surprise, she reached up and patted Vila's cheek. "You are too thin," she said. "Come, I will make you dinner." Vila looked at Hante with confusion. He laughed and whispered through the bond, telling her that this was how Korean mothers showed love. Her eyes softened. "I would be honored." The negotiations took weeks, but they went better than anyone expected. Queen Vela addressed the United Nations, explaining the danger that faced humanity. She did not hide the truth about her empire's decline or her people's desperate need. She spoke honestly, openly, showing vulnerability that shocked the human leaders. "We are not coming to conquer you," she said. "We are coming to ask for help, and to offer help in return. The galaxy is vast and dangerous, and humanity cannot face it alone. Neither can the Ethera, but together we might survive."
Ow.
There were debates. There were protests. There were people who feared the aliens and people who wanted to use them. But in the end, the alliance was formed. Humans who chose to do so could form bonds with Ethera, helping to heal the ancient race. In return, the Ethera would share their technology and protect Earth from the empires that coveted humanity. It was not perfect. There were problems and disagreements and difficulties. But it was a start. On the last night before Vila returned to her homeworld, Hante took her to the hills above Busan. They stood together, watching the sunrise paint the sky in shades of pink and gold. The city spread out below them, millions of lights slowly fading as the sun rose. Captain Yunde and Sora stood behind them, giving them space, but refusing to leave. "It is beautiful," Vila said. "I used to come here when I was young. When I felt lost or confused," Hante smiled at the memory. "I would sit here and watch the sun rise, and somehow everything seemed a little clearer. And now I am standing here with an alien queen, planning the future of two species." He laughed softly. "Nothing is clear. But I think that is okay." Vela took his hand. Through the bond, he felt her love, warm and bright and endless. "I searched the stars for 1,000 years," she said, "across hundreds of worlds through darkness and despair. I had almost given up hope." She turned to face him, her eyes glowing with the light of the rising sun. "And then I found you." Hante raised his hand to her face, gently wiping away a tear that glowed like starlight. "Maybe we were searching for each other," he said. "Maybe the universe knew we needed to find one another. A queen who forgot how to feel, and a human who felt too much. Do you believe in fate?" "I believe in this." He pulled her close. "I believe in us." The sun rose higher, and its light washed over them, warm and golden and full of promise. Behind them, Sora rolled her eyes and muttered something about dramatic people. Captain Yunde smiled quietly. And far below in the waking city, humans and Ethera were already working together, already learning from each other, already building something new. It would not be easy. The enemy empires were still out there, watching, waiting, planning their revenge. There would be more battles, more loss, more struggle, but there would also be more love, more connection, more fire, because that was what humans did. They burned. And now, they had taught an ancient empire to burn with them. Hante looked at Vela, at the woman who had crossed galaxies to find him. He looked at Sora and Captain Yunde, his friends who had come back for him against all odds. He looked at the city below, full of people he loved, and he smiled. The search was over. The journey was just beginning.